Oh, hey there. So in case you have not been paying attention, I'm in Egypt right now. And over the next week and a half or so, I'm going to be showing you all kinds of fun stuff about Egypt. So we're going to see the pyramids and Sphinx and essential oils places and riverboat tour on the Nile and on and on and on. It's going to be truly amazing. So yesterday morning, I woke up and I was on the continent of North America in the state of the United States of America. And then I went to Europe, to Germany, and there was mass Nazis, and now I'm in Africa. In case you didn't know, Egypt's in Africa, so now you know. So the hotel is beautiful, breakfast was delicious, we're on our way to the pyramids, and I'm so very excited to be able to share this with you guys because I know that a lot of you can't do it because of reasons, either financial reasons or health reasons or whatever in the world. So I'm happy to share my experience with you guys. Love you, mean it, bye. Oh, hey there. So welcome to another episode of John Works Too Much, and in this episode we're in Egypt. So this is very exciting. This is the step pyramid behind me, and if you're dumb like me, you don't know what that means. So it has 6 steps. Now here's why. In the daytime here near the equator, there are 12 hours in the day, pretty much year round, okay? 6 steps up to noon, and then 6 steps down till the day's over, and it actually goes down underneath, and there's 6 more steps down to midnight or whatever, and then 6 more steps, and they're doing the whole circle of the sun. As you can tell, this is a lush desert filled with lots of greenery and water. So this right here, a lot of people don't know this. This is called the road to over there, and this road takes you over there, wherever that is.
Celebration is called lunch.
Oh, hey there. So I'm here in Egypt, in Cairo, and it's beautiful. Now, these are palm trees, because you guys are smart. Take a look up there. And see all those things up there? There's red ones and yellow ones. These are date palms, which means that there's dates all over. And if you look back down here, this is what they look like in real life. And you can eat them. And they're delicious. Now, you have pinching them, so you gotta watch out. Now, I know what you're thinking. John, it's been a while since you had a date. Yeah, no kidding. I mean, look at me. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and do some other things. Oh, hey there. So I'm here at the Great Pyramids. It's amazing. Now, pyramids are triangle shaped, but if you look over there, you're gonna see the mediocre cubes, and they're basically just buildings. I build those all the time. Nobody's coming to see those like this, but they pay a lot of money to see this. It's really tall. It doesn't look that tall, but look at that. It's huge. From far away, you're like, I guess. But here, it's like 450 feet tall. And in case you're not good with math, that's really tall. It's bigger than several people put together. All right, so they used to make just small little, like if somebody wanted to die, which I guess we all do want to die eventually, they would just make a small little thing. But then when the graves happened, then jackals would come and they would eat the people. They didn't like that so much. So you know what they did? They made offerings to the jackals. They gave them food so they would be full, and then they wouldn't have to eat the people. And so that's where then they started to give them more and more food and stuff like that. And then they became the gods. And so you see like the jackal face god, Anubis. Well, that's where that came from. So now you guys learned something. I also learned something. I'm very, 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 very dumb. But I'm learning so much. It's beautiful. Oh, hey there. Those are the pyramids. This is my camel. I don't know my camel's name. These are some other camels. Pyramids again. So, fun fact about the pyramids, they were smooth. They had gold glazed on the edges of them, and that's pretty interesting. Also, these camels, this one right here with the red, pretty feisty. Pretty feisty. We've been wandering through this beach for 3 hours, and I can't find any water. Hopefully, eventually, we find the beach and the water, and maybe our hotel. This beach seems senseless without any water. Oh, hey there. So, today we are in Luxor, or outside of Luxor. And I was shocked to find out this morning that Luxor was not named after the hotel in Vegas, but in fact, the hotel in Vegas was named after this city, which is weird to me, but also accurate. Now, it's weird because there are no pyramids in Luxor. However, the Luxor in Vegas is a pyramid. This place that we are right now is called the Valley of the Workers, okay? And this is where the workers would work. There's also a Valley of the Kings and a Valley of the Queens, and we're gonna go visit those shortly. But here, take a look over here. This is kind of like their, where they lived, I guess. And so these workers whenever they worked for the kings, they would carve everything in because that was expensive and the kings were paying for it for their time. But when they came here and they had their own tombs, then they painted everything. And so I took a bunch of pictures, and I'll show you what those pictures are. They're actually pretty elaborate, and there's stories behind everything. One of the interesting stories that I thought was pretty neat was that they have a tree, and there's a snake wrapped around it, and then there's a cat that's killing the snake because the snake represents the evil, and the tree and the snake are obviously how sin entered the world. And then there's also a person in their history named Noe, which they believe is Noah, and there was a flood story. And so all the ancient cultures have a flood story, and then they have the time where Babylon happened, and there's always sin that enters the world somehow. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So quite beautiful, and we took a flight this morning, and I've got to tell you guys that we bought the entire plane and 3 buses. Let me clarify, we didn't buy the plane and 3 buses. We rented it. We didn't really rent it. We just have a bunch of people, and so we pretty much took up the whole plane and 3 buses. So I wanted to sound rich and important, but I'm not. All right, see you guys later. Oh, hey there. So we're inside this tomb where the workers, the Valley of the Workers, which I'm assuming is where I'm going to be buried because I'm a worker, obviously. We thought this was pretty interesting. Okay, so this hieroglyphics, it's not just emojis like I thought, so the mysteries are being unraveled. Apparently, when in Egyptian culture, when you died, you had to go through this gauntlet of 10 or 12 different things, and each animal would ask you something like, did you murder anybody? Did you rob from people? Were you kind to people? Were you kind to animals? Were you kind to the environment? So on and so forth. If you passed through all that and didn't die, if you will, then you had, I think, 14 people here, gods, whatever, and they would judge you. And they would hold the key to life, kind of. This is the key right here, I'll show you. This right here. And if they liked you, they're like, we want you to be in eternity and live forever with us, then they would raise up their key, and if not, they'd be like, good luck, and then off you would go. But let's get to that later. So if you pass through the 10 or 12 animals, and then you pass through the judgment, then they would weigh you, and they would go find your heart that had been mummified, and they would weigh that against a feather. And if your heart was lighter than a feather, then clearly you had a light heart. You didn't have a bunch of sin and guilt on that, and therefore you would pass through into eternal life. But if you did not, then you would go, and there's like a bad guy around here somewhere, and you would basically go to hell. And we thought it was pretty interesting, so I'm going to share that with you. It's not just emojis like I thought.
Okay, good.
Oh, hey there. So we're here in Ramses III Temple, okay? And it's got a name that I can't pronounce because I'm lazy. But how cool is this? So a couple things you need to know. They were very extravagant. They wanted to spend a lot of money and a lot of time, a lot of man hours doing this stuff. But also they realized that the kings, the gods before them, the pharaohs before them, this guy watched his dad, and whenever the other pharaoh was gone, he'd like scratch his name out basically, and then put his own name there, like, oh, I'm the cool dude. And so you can tell that he put the carvings very deep in there, like this deep in there, because he's like, you're not scratching my name out. I'm gonna be here forever, which obviously he has been. And so congratulations, Ramses III. There's some brutal stuff. They were talking about this. The screaming mummy, is that what it was, Barb? Yeah, screaming mummy. And the reason why is because this guy killed his dad, right? Was it his dad? Uncle?
It was his dad.
Dad, yeah. And he cut him so deep in the neck that it cut his vertebrae in the back, which that's a pretty deep cut in case you're not good with depth gauges. So as a punishment, the people in charge were like, that was not nice. And they said it, I think, in exactly these words: sir, that was not nice. Therefore, your punishment will be, and this is also not nice, but I guess it's a just punishment. You'll be mummified while you're still alive. So they had to like cut all his guts out while he's still alive, and then mummify him while he's still, I'm sure he died in the process or whatever, but apparently his face looks like, which is what my face looks like when I just relax it. I don't think you understand how much effort it takes for me to look like this, because normally it's like this, but then I have to like, and it's like I'm tensing up the whole time. I've got to concentrate and focus so that I just look like semi-normal, and even that, not amazing. Anyway, on to the next thing. Oh, hey there. So we're here at the Ramsey something temple museum. I don't know what. Don't try to look it up. It won't matter. Anyway, this is a huge statue of Ramses, and it's one of the biggest in the world. So it weighs 1,000 tons. And I know what you're thinking. If you're not good at math, you probably don't realize that that's 2 million pounds. And if you understand how stonework works and how people work, then you know that that's too much weight. He really needed to like lay off the ho-hos and the donuts. They did have those back then. Don't look it up. As you can see, his feet are over here, and so he has been defeated. So I took a horse carriage around the city in Luxor, and these are some of the terrifying sights I saw. People waving and smiling, children waving and smiling and saying hello. It was horrifying. People buying and selling things, going on about their business, you know, beautiful stuff and different cultures than my own. Just horrifying. I was like, how can people live like this? People sitting there talking and drinking coffee and stuff like that. Clothes that are different than mine. It just made me want to be, I don't know, actually they were pretty nice. Yeah, now that I think about it, pretty nice people. And they all like this, and they would all welcome us. And so people always ask me, like, aren't you afraid to go to other cultures? I'm like, no. I mean, are you afraid? You know where I've been robbed and stuff at gunpoint? America. True story. Oh, hey there. So today we stopped and we were going to get some tea or coffee. And they said, what do you want? You want tea or coffee? I'm like, I guess tea. And then they were like, do you want milk with your tea? I was like, yeah, I guess so. I don't want to be high maintenance, so I guess, like, can I get some horse milk? And they were like, horse milk? And I'm like, yeah, like 3% horse milk. And they're like, yeah, I guess so. So we got a horse. I don't know if we're gonna milk her today. I think she's hungry, so we took a ride instead. We looked all around Luxor. It was amazing. We learned so much stuff and met so many friendly people. So I'll see you guys soon. All right, bye.
You see that? Look, please, everybody. That's how each tomb is deep.
Is this a tomb for ants?
On the design.
Oh, hey there. So we're here in Egypt, and I'm so glad that you guys are following along. I really appreciate it. Today we're in the Valley of the Kings. Well, right now we're in the Valley of the Kings, and this is King Tut's tomb over here. That's Tutankhamun, whatever. And it was down. We were down there. It was magnificent. You could get lost in there. So much to see. Barrels of gold. They're like, take as much as you want. There's just plenty to go around. I was like, are you sure? And like, yeah, we want a tip though. I'm like, just take it out of that. Like, no, my friend, just give me money. I'm like, So I left the gold. Also, I'm not that smart. So we're gonna see some other tombs. We're very excited about that. Now, as long as we're here at King Tut's tomb, I want to tell you guys some stuff. There's a curse of the Pharaoh. That's it. Also, back in his time and everything in BC, they aged backwards, like Benjamin Button did. So they would start off really old, and then they would die as children, babies, depending on how they died. And so that's a true story. Also, I was told I needed to walk like an Egyptian the whole time I was here. Maybe I'm just seeing tourists, but I don't see anybody walking like this. And I feel like if I do, that I will be looked at funny, which I'm not used to, and I'm very self-conscious, so please don't make me do that. Now, one last thing I want to point out. If you look across the landscape, you will see camels everywhere. Do you see them? Oh, probably not, because they're camouflaged. Now, because horses eat grass and they're just surrounded by grass, and cattle, most beasts, buffalo, and so on and so forth. I was like, but the camels are the same color as the sand. What do they eat? And everybody's like, they eat sand. I'm like, that makes sense. So camouflaged camels all over the place, eating sand and turning it into small rocks. Pretty sure I understand things. Oh, hey there. So I'm here at the Valley of the Kings, and we just saw Ramses I tomb, and it was, interesting, deep, hot, like being in an oven, but underground, which usually underground is about 60 degrees, but this is about 160 degrees, maybe. I could be exaggerating. So one thing that I've learned about the Egyptians, ancient Egyptians, since I've been here, is that they want to be prepared for the afterlife. And so I respect that. They apparently, when they became a pharaoh or king, a ruler, immediately they'd be like, okay, you're ordained the king, or whatever, they had their ceremony, and they're like, start building my tomb. And so at first they were building pyramids, and that was in the old country, that was in Giza and stuff that we saw over there. But now we're in the new kingdom, and so they tried to hide their treasure by being in the mountains here. So the whole mountain is shaped like a pyramid, and they kind of count that as good enough to get up to heaven. But immediately they started look at that. They started preparing for their death, and then went to great lengths to make sure that their afterlife was good. And they tried to put all their possessions in there because they believed they could take it with them, and all their workers and all their slaves and their people that they loved, they decided they could take those with them too. So the fact that they were trying to be as prepared as possible for the afterlife, I respect that. Obviously, there's a little truth in every lie, and they're trying the best they could with what they got. But I'm also trying to prepare for the afterlife, but not by amassing possessions and gold and treasures and deep hidden tombs, but by loving people and by loving God and being obedient, because I think that's really what matters. And Jesus paid the price for our sins, so we don't have to go through a gauntlet of things to get there. We just have to accept his sacrifice. Love you guys.
Oh, hey there. So I'm here in Egypt, and something I've learned so much, but something I've learned is that on cigarette packs, they're like, we don't want people to smoke, so we put horrible pictures of medical conditions that you can get to stop you from smoking. So I don't know if you can see this, but they show you this is what your butt looks like clean, and then this is what your butt looks like if you smoke. And so to avoid getting a dirty butt, you don't smoke cigarettes. Now, they also make the cigarettes $1,000 a pack. And so nobody smokes here except for smokers. So that's pretty much, I hope you guys learned something. I got to get to a tomb.
Oh, hey there. So we're about to go into this tomb, and maybe you guys don't speak noodle. So this is some letters I don't understand, but this means Valley of the Kings is backwards. And this is the 6th discovery that they had. And then this is Ramses the IX, which means the 9th, in case you guys are not good with Roman numerals. So this has Roman numerals and English, thank God, because that's what I speak. And then noodle, in case you guys don't know. That's what that's called. Oh, hey there. So this is inside Ramses the 9th's tomb. And on the other tombs, there was painted walls because he was only a ruler for 2 years. But Ramses the 9th was the ruler for a long time. So he's got 3D bas relief artwork all over the entrance to this tomb. I don't know if you can see all that. You can read all that. It's also up on the ceiling. And the colors are all original, right? So that means that they haven't touched up any of the colors. So if you look over here, you see there's like blue and orange and whatnot, yellow, black. They've done all this, and I figured you guys would think that was interesting because I do. The reason why they've got this bulletproof glass here is because they don't want people to get shot, and so they put this up and then nobody gets shot. The real reason is because if you touch it, then the oils on your hands mess it up, so they don't want you touching it. But kids can still do it. Kids never touch anything. That's where you put like a vase or something. So now we have electricity for lighting, but back in the day, they did not. They didn't want to have torches in here because that would be have smoke and make the walls black. So they would have big bronze mirrors, and they would reflect them from the entrance and then reflect them off of each other with a bunch of slaves and stuff, and then that would help them to get light in here. Also, they use sesame seed oil, and that they could burn it at night, but then it wouldn't make any blackness. So this is interesting. These, if you see a guy that's got a beard that's straight, which these don't, then that guy is still alive. But if they're like this and the beard is curved, like these guys, then that means that they are in the land of the dead. So that's kind of interesting. Also, if they have a green face, then they're dead. And that's Gary. He's very smart. So we're still in Ramses the 9th tomb, and there's lots of stuff to see. So I'm going to explain what's going on here. This guy has an alligator submarine, and a lot of you probably don't know, but the way to tell the difference between an alligator and a crocodile is that one of them will see you later, and one of them will see you after a while. Uh-oh, stairs. You know what that means? These are original stairs. This deck was built originally.
Oh, hey there. So we're in King Ramses, the Pharaoh Ramses the Ninth's tomb, and Bob, as you can tell, and myself are very hot. Not just like, wow, but like hot. Okay? So Bob has great ideas. I think you should be an inventor. And you said that they should have had ceiling fans. Yeah. And so he said that we could rig it up somehow, and I don't know how. Papyrus rope or something like that, with camels rotating out here on some kind of a mechanism that had different U-joints or something. Right? How would they do it?
Well, they'd have a thing that goes through the ceiling and until you get to the top, and it'll be like, a little pulley with a circle on it.
Or they could drill holes and then just have like a shaft, and they just have the camels like marching around.
Or even like one of those wind fans, that as it blows around in the wind in a certain direction, it would just spin the fans on there, and everybody would be like, look at this, I'm all wet.
Can we go back in time? Do you think it's possible to go back in time and talk to the Pharaoh and be like, bro, we got some ideas?
I think it's possible.
Anything's possible.
The earmark of this particular cave was that it got halfway done and he ran out of stuff.
He ran out of stuff. You could have had fans.
There you go.
Every Pharaoh needs a bunch of fans.
All right, so let me tell you a story. This is me walking along, and then there's 3 giant snakes, and I'm like, nope, hard pass. And I'm like, I'm just gonna go over here, but then there's more snakes, and there's a dude like, you want some snakes? I'm like, no, thank you. But then over here, there's a 3-headed snake. It's ginormous with like legs. I'm like, is there another option? And then like, you can go to the underworld. I'm like, okay. And they're like, we can give you some emojis. I'm like, okay. Yeah, and there's a 2-headed snake. I'm like, no, thank you. Thank you very much. Be a hard pass. Anyway, this is a scared beetle or something. And this guy dropped something, and he's like, please pick it up for me. So he did.
Oh, hey there. So we're here at the King, or the Valley of the Kings, and I've learned so much stuff. Like, first of all, there are people that are rich and there are people that are poor, and they're all like, yeah, but all of our graves are the same size. And all these guys are like, speak for yourself, peasants. We have ginormous tombs that we're gonna be dead in. You can cut our organs out and make us get all wrinkly and dry like a human raisin. Oh, hey there. I had no idea you were gonna be there. So I'm here in the Valley of the Kings, and one of the kings, and this is going to be confusing for you guys because we're in a different time now. One of the kings was Queen Hatchet Soup. Queen Hatchet Soup was like, hey, you know what I want? I want to be the king. And they're like, but you're a girl, and that's not going to work. So she's like, I need to talk to some people. So she went to talk to the high priest, and they're like, I don't think that's going to work. And then they thought some more, and they're like, we got it. We're going to make up a story that your dad was Ra, Amun-Ra, and that he is your dad, and so you're not just a queen, but you're a god, therefore you can be a king too. So she had a fake beard, which was, a little bit weird, but these days, is it? Anyway, so then this is supposed to represent that that's Amun-Ra, over, let's see, where is it? Like up here, that's him. And then this is supposed to be whatever, another god, whatever. And then this is her, and she's drinking straight out of the udder of the cow, which you can't see it because it's kind of dull, but that means that she just had some cookies, and then she wanted to have some milk to go with those cookies. Now you know. Oh, hey there. So we're here at Queen Hatchet Soup's temple. Yeah. So here's what happened, right? She wanted to be the queen. She wanted to be the king, which is weird because she's a girl. But she decided, I want to be the king. And they're like, you can't be for obvious reasons. And she's like, but look at this fake beard. And they're like, not good enough. And then she's like, aha. So she incorporated, like, she employed some of the temple priests or whatever. And she had them carve it in the wall. Like, see, my dad is Ra, and therefore I'm a goddess. And they're like, okay. I mean, if it's written on the wall, then it must be true. And that's how she proved it to everybody. It was like, see, it's written on the wall. Which is like the ancient equivalent of, if it's on the internet, it must be true. Now, I want to tell you one other story. Everywhere we go, there's people harassing us for money. This is how it works if you're a white tourist. We're going through, and usually like, oh, my friend, you can buy this for $1 Egyptian pound, which is like a nickel or whatever. But then eventually it comes down to this. One dude in here comes up, and he's eating, a big fat guy eating, and he goes, I love your money. And I was like, there it is. Oh, hey there. So we're here at another monument, and these are statues. I don't know if you've ever seen a statue before. There was a temple. So if you guys have an imagination and you like to look at video but then just use your imagination instead of seeing what it actually is, perfect. Now imagine there's a big temple there. That's it. That's what's going to happen. So those are pigeons, and I don't know if you can see the faces on that. There aren't any, because, and this is going to blow your mind, these statues have been defaced. Oh, hey there. So if you're anything like me, you woke up at 1 o'clock in the morning so that you could then cross the Nile River on a small boat and then drive over here to get in a hot air balloon. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why do you do so much cool stuff? Well, I'll tell you why. Ain't nobody in your life is going to force you to do cool stuff. You have to choose that for yourself. So, when somebody says, you want to go on a hot air balloon? Then say this. Yes. Stop making excuses. Do cool stuff. Do fun stuff. Do the right thing. Get your heart right with God. All right, we're going to get up in that hot air balloon. I'm going to take lots of pictures of videos. Love you guys. So, nothing I show you will even do justice to the whole experience. Obviously, if you get the opportunity to go to Egypt, I think that you should. I would definitely go with Creation Ministries Incorporated. They did just an amazing job. I learned so much. I know I say sarcastic things all the time, but it was absolutely beautiful, and I learned so much stuff, and I got to meet great people, and the food was amazing. So this is flying over. We flew for about 45 minutes on this hot air balloon, but we were flying over this village, and I thought it was pretty. The unfinished tops the buildings and stuff is because there's a government rule that if you don't finish your building, then you don't have to pay as much on property tax, and so literally nobody finishes their buildings, which I think is bad government myself, but nevertheless, everybody lives differently, and they seem to be happy and content with what they're doing. Anyway, this hot air balloon ride was just breathtaking. It was absolutely beautiful. They fit 32 people in the basket. Apparently it's one of the biggest hot air balloons in the world, and you know, fortunately we got on that. Now maybe they're all the biggest one, I don't know. Here's some people, and they are all happy, and they all wave at us, and as you can tell, they've got a lot of animals in here, and it's interesting to see kind of a bird's eye view of what's going on in these people's lives. I often wonder, when God looks down on us, like, what does he see, you know, silently watching us? So everywhere they've got, you know, donkeys and all kinds of agriculture. It's a different lifestyle, and it's a different pace than what we're used to. The palm trees are beautiful. This is in Luxor, and Luxor is more agricultural than Cairo is. Cairo is a bigger city, and Luxor has a lot of agriculture. So you can't tell from this video, but it's desert everywhere, and then around the Nile River on both sides is lots of life, and then there's a clear line of demarcation, and then there's desert everywhere again. So maybe kind of a good lesson in life.